Hello everybody, I'm the Crooked Caber, and today I played Jurassic Park Trespasser. It is a battle of motor functions. It's horrifying, but only to the degree that the things that are chasing you are faster, and they're also just as challenged as you are. Getting the game to work is pretty hard. It took me a few tries before it would actually record, because it's old as dirt and poorly optimized. But there's this community of people online who are really into it. They make a bunch of custom maps, and they also make a patch, so I'll link that in case you want to try it. Now, I love the original Jurassic Park movie, especially the concrete aesthetic. And when I say concrete aesthetic, I mean the concrete. I'm not joking. Here. I love it. So anything set in the context of the first three movies, or on Site B, or the original island, I am thirsty for. I'm down bad for. I hunger. In terms of gameplay, there's a lot of walking, and isolation, and these horrible things. Like, this is pretty constant. This is the whole game. It's walking, shooting velociraptors specifically, occasionally seeing a poor creature that's too cursed to die, and then you walk some more before you eventually die. The game forces you to just keep saving over and over again. It reminds me back in the day when my dad would play Lara Croft 3 for me. He would have to get to these little save crystals, and he got stuck at a place where his health was too low, so he could not get out no matter what he did, and he had to restart the whole game. The dinosaurs, mostly velociraptors, are faster than you, but they're just as clunky as you, so it's almost a fair fight. The game gives you a never-ending supply of guns until the second you don't have any more guns. And I didn't realize that you could carry more than one gun on you, so I only had one the entire game. I guess dinosaurs and boomer shooters really do go together, even if they were trying to do this weird VR mesh pot of tragedy. Most of the enemies are raptors with minimal variety, except for they do have different skins. Some look like crack dinosaurs, like cocaine raptors. They're scarier, to say the least. I did not like them. They're actually the part of the game that I had to restart, and I promise you, I think they're tankier than the regulars. The story begins with our character crash landing on Site B. To be honest, it's a bit unclear what she was doing before the crash. It looked like she was headed there anyways, possibly to steal stuff, but it didn't make it very clear. She gives off Lara Croft vibes. The game was made right after Lara Croft, and that might also be why she's sexualized. There's a tattoo on her chest that is how you tell if you're dying. And I didn't know that until almost the very last level of the game, when I fell over and noticed it was blood red. From there, it's mostly wandering the island, avoiding or fighting the dinosaurs, and trying to escape. Along the way, a Hammond impersonator gives occasional voiceovers, adding some narrative context as you explore new areas. You'll see a few different dinosaurs. The first one you see is the long neck, the Brachiosaurus. Oh, the Brachia. Ha ha ha, I just got it. The Brachiosaurus. It's beautiful. I paid my respects to nature. After that, it's a Triceratops. There's a Stegosaurus. Too many Velociraptors. The glorious T-Rex. And then this thing. This cursed, horrible creature. It screamed for death every time I walked by it, but I would not relieve it. It had a massive health pool, so it would distract the T-Rexes long enough for me to shove off. But this poor thing, it's a parasaur, and I think it's to size. The T-Rexes were actually pretty scary. They would do this weird Clint Eastwood stare down with you occasionally. They would stop moving entirely, and they would just stare at you before high heeling it over. There was one level, probably the best level. It was this harbor level. The T-Rex would just wander around one side of the map the entire time. So it gave you that sort of alien isolation paranoia that he might just decide to walk over to you for no better reason than to pick a fight or to pee on you. I don't know. I did not go near him. One of the early areas you visit is the town. It's a pretty cool, scary place. Even with the Velociraptors, it feels uncannily empty. More so than other PS1 games I've played. Usually there's not that much around in another game. I use Lara Croft as my example. The levels are tight, at least in my experience with the first one. And they did good world building in those games. But in this game, it's just a bunch of buildings and a gun store. Well, a general store that only has guns. And the little visitor center was like floating off the ground. This might have been the map that made it the most apparent that the game was rushed, which it was. It was rushed on its way out the door. You explore the town, you get these key cards to open further areas of the town, and this is where you're introduced to the best part of the game. Box parkour puzzles. This right here is something special. It makes me tingly inside. It made me scream. I screamed a bit. I slammed my head against the wall and I screamed some more. That's how much I like this. This is good. So after you climb all the way up, you get another key card to try to find the last key card, which for some reason is just randomly hidden behind a rock. I hate having to use guides because I like to think that I'm smart, you know, a little bit as I look up to my degree above my computer. But no, I had to look up this one. This is one of them PS1 bullcrap moments where they just put the key in some weird location that you would just not figure out. There's no notes. There's no anything. In fact, in Hammond's entire house, all I found was the ladies' model little 6-shooter. Oh, and you also figure out there's a way off the island on top of a mountain. This almost immediately gets you into the dock area, which, as I said, was my favorite area. More box puzzles, but a bit cooler. You had to knock over some cargo container crates, and then there was another key card inside. And once you open this gate, it takes you up to the top of a hill where you find the island's mainframe. There is a pet raptor up here. I killed it, as I do them all. And then I kept going to the worst part of the game, hell. It was hell. It was raptor hell, is what it was. I died so many times here that I was gonna start screaming. I didn't. I have a really long fuse when it comes to getting vocal with video games. And I even dropped, I think, a darn it. Where'd it come from? Oh my goodness. If you can believe it. I know. Tragic. This is the part of the game that I had to reload because I just kept getting my tail whooped. It's also the part of the game that I realized you could holster guns. So I suddenly got better. My content, my gameplay got immediately better in this location here. And immediately following, you end up in this weird Aztec area with like ancient ruins, which is oddly fitting alongside dinosaurs for some reason, because it's like out of Warhammer Fantasy, you know, like halberd-wielding frogs and T-Rexes. It just kind of works. Here, they throw a bunch of falling debris at you with the Velociraptors. But by this point, I just killed them all with prejudice. I would yell many words at them as I did it, too. I went out of my way to do it so I could feel safe. I was very angry at this point, and I was trying my hardest just to get to the end. Now, here was the best boss fight. The only one I engaged with and did not finish. I am a man who runs before he fights in games. Yes. This T-Rex here was rather scary. I thought I could kill it with one shot with this special gun I had found. The guide said I could, but it didn't, and I almost perished. But I hid at the top of the pyramid, waited for it to shove off, and then I ran. That is what I did with a lot of this game. It's what I do with a lot of horror games, actually. You guys have been watching long enough. I run. I don't stick around to stare at them. Then you climb the mountain, and you climb up some more, and then there's more raptors. And then you get to this really horrible OSHA violated elevator. It looks like a weird like rail cannon from Halo, of which I've been playing lately. Then you go up the elevator, and it's probably the most challenging part of the game. Every time a level goes to the next one, you lose all your guns that you have holstered. And right here, you had to run forward, grab the guns, and fight the raptors that were right there. So they would rush you down, and it made me angry a little bit. I was already mad, but it did make me pretty angry. In hindsight, it was very cool. Then you climb up the rest of the mountain to the final boss fight, where you fight a giant raptor. This was laughably easy. Now, I don't know if I was just like on crack at this point, because I was particularly aggressive towards these poor, horribly motorily function challenged creatures, but I killed them all. A final box jump puzzle, the best part of the game, and a helicopter ride, and a nice little cutscene at the end where she throws her stolen Velociraptor claw on the table after a friend leaves a message about not seeing her for a while, which was very cute, very charming. For a PS1 era game, especially back with Lara Croft, which is like the era of games that I remember from my childhood, from my dad playing them. It worked. It definitely needed more time to cook. It is a sin that this game did not get the time it needed. And it's also a sin that someone tried to make it before it was ready. In fact, I would say we need something like this in VR. This would be amazing. It'd be horrifying. I'm not sure I could play it if it was done right, like today. On the aesthetic radar, I would give it a 8 out of 10. It gave me the aesthetic, and it also gave me the nostalgic PS1 vibes. It was tasty. You know, like PS1 games, I should finish my thought. I tend to do this. I'll jump thought. Forgive me. PS1 games have very simple purposes, and this had a very simple purpose, to put you on Jurassic Park to shoot dinosaurs, Site B specifically, and it did that. So, gameplay? 5 out of 10. It was neither bad, nor was it good, and the control schemes were way ahead of its time, to the point where the main difficulty in the game was just trying to exist in the game, which, if that was the point, awesome. I am not sure it was the point, but I mean, you know what? You could convince me otherwise, because the dinosaurs were rough. I've never seen anything that wonky trying to get around. Would I recommend you play it? Yes, it's free. I'll leave the information on how to get it in the description below if you decide you want to play it. And next week I'll be dropping the full playthrough, highly edited full playthrough. I cut out most of the walking just to spare you all if you care to watch it. Thank you for joining me, my friends. That was the Crooked Caber. I'm down bad for Jurassic Park. I'm searching for the best way to scratch the Jurassic Park itch. That it did scratch something. Especially the harbor level. That was the best level by a mile. It scratched something, and I'll leave it at that. So, otherwise, ciao.